As I serve my brew, I'm cool with the work I do. Clock ticks in the world.
Okay, to the story. So in Texas, we had been living there for a while already. By this time, my mom had already sent my two older brothers to go live with my father, who lived in Oklahoma, still does, and it's about 5 hours away. And then eventually, sometime later, she sent myself and my younger brother to go live with my aunt in the same place in Oklahoma. So we did that, and from time to time, I would talk to her on the phone, and she would tell me all the stuff that was going on with her. Of course, it was always drama. It was always pretty crazy. But for instance, this one time, she was saying that her and her boyfriend Chris went to a bar, and they met this other guy named Chris, and who was a little bit loco. And he became obsessed with her boyfriend Chris, and showed interest in him, and the other Chris said no thank you. And so it upset the other Chris, and he began harassing my mom. That's the story I got. It Looking back now, I'm like, no, that's total bullshit. That's not what happened. But that's the story I have. So the real reason I'm not exactly sure, he was a known drug dealer, the other Chris. So you can only speculate and assume there are other reasons why he would be harassing my mom. Anyway, that's the story I had at the time. And anytime I would talk to her, she would always say, well, yeah, like the police won't do anything. I know he's been breaking into the house, and he's moving stuff around. Like he would redecorate, and he would take two different picture frames, and he'd swap the pictures in them, and he would remove like we have this soldier, or not soldier, it was like a man in armor or whatever, and he had a sword. And so the sword was removable, and he took the sword, and then he would take random dishes and all this other stuff. Like how she knew it was him, I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I think later someone, it was her girlfriend that she had at the time too, was staying there off and on. And I think she's seen him because they both knew who he was, and she's seen him a few times. Well, what he was doing was he would take all of this stuff, put it in a laundry basket, bring it back the next day, and just leave it on the front step for my mom to see. And it would totally freak her out because, she knew her girlfriend wasn't doing it, her boyfriend wasn't doing it. And so, like, and she already knew this guy was messing with her. I think she had even ran into him a few times, and he was bothering her. And like I said, she told me that she involved the police. They couldn't really do anything because there was no substantial evidence to really, go out and like, are you moving her stuff around? And how he was getting in the house, we couldn't figure that out because we had a security system. It was a big house, and all of our windows were locked. Our doors had deadbolts, all of that. She would lock it all the way up whenever she would leave, and she always made sure that her friends that would come and go wouldn't leave it unlocked either. And I think she only had like two friends that really came and went. Her boyfriend, Chris, lived in Barbados, and he would just come see her off and on. So he wasn't even there all the time. And let's see. So fast forward a little bit, it gets crazier. Like he started messing with her like every day. And she was calling me panicking. She's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm really worried because he won't leave me alone. And she's like, I'm really worried about you guys because he knows where you are and stuff like that. And she's like, I think you should come home. And I said, why would we come home? That's where all the crazy's happening. I think I want to stay right here. And she's like, no. You need to come home so I know where you are. I know that you're safe. And I'm like, we're living with my aunt, and she knows where we are. She knows that we're safe. You can just check in with her, and that seems like the safest idea. Well, she was not down for that. She said, no, my dad's going to drive you back up here. I want to know exactly where you are. And I was like, Mom, it's a 5-hour trip. You really think he's going to go that far out of his way just to mess with you, Like he's not doing anything like threatening. he was just moving her stuff around. So I don't like it was kind of like a jump. Like I can understand being worried, but that seems like at that time that would have been her reason to send us to go live with someone else because this psycho was breaking in, not bring us back because it's all happening. I still don't understand that. So my grandfather drove my brother Caleb and I back to Texas. The other two boys stayed in Oklahoma. One day we were across town with my mom, and the security company called and they said that the garage door had been opened, and that's what set off the alarm this time. So they immediately called the police or whatever the protocol is, and we meet the police there. Like we were speeding across town. It was kind of funny because she put on her hazards, and she was like trying to drive real fast. And people were not getting out of her way. And she's like, I don't understand. I have my hazards on. Why aren't they moving? I was like, you're not an ambulance. You're not a police car. Anybody can have their hazards on for any freaking reason just to pretend that there's an emergency. Like, you know what I mean? For all they know, you're just trying to get out of the traffic. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, so we get there. The police look around, and then they decide to go ahead and look upstairs and look up in the attic. So they did, and they discovered that it looked like somebody had been living in there. Like there was wrappers, like it was clearly a sign that someone was living up there. So we figured it out. That's how he kept getting in. Was he would stay in the attic for who knows how long, how many days in a row, hours, I don't know. We have no idea because this went on for months, like a long time. And it even happened after we came back. So this day in particular was already like a week or two after we had came back already. So who knows how long he had been staying in the attic since we had been home. Freaks me out. Pretty crazy. Well, fast forward sometime later. Well, actually, that night, my mom decides to go take, we were hungry, and there's a Taco Bell right down the road. And so she's like, we'll go get some Taco Bell and we'll figure this out and whatever. Well, I was like, cool, let's go. And she's like, no, you got to stay here. And I was like, what? Did you not hear the officer that said that the guy's living in the attic and he keeps breaking in and stuff? Not necessarily breaking. I mean, he would leave and then come back in somehow. But anyway, I was like, do you not recall that that's what we're facing here? Why do you want to leave me at home? And she's like, no, you're not coming. You're staying here. We'll be right back. Well, I stayed there. After I begged her, please let me go with you. She said no. So I stayed, and that was when AOL was really popular in the little chat rooms. So I stayed on the chat room so I could be distracted because I was like, he's going to come back. Like he probably watched her Jaguar leave and he's trying to come back. I was so freaked out. Like I was so scared that my mind started playing tricks on me, and I felt like somebody grabbed me one time. I don't know. It was weird, and I was like totally freaked out. But that's because they were gone for 3 hours. 3 hours. And then when they came back, I was like, where have you been? But I had been calling, and I was like, are you closer? She would never answer her phone. I don't know what she did. Caleb doesn't even remember. He said he slept in the car, and he doesn't know what happened. He remembers the police officers. He doesn't remember anything after that. So, I don't know. To this day, I still wonder what the hell she was doing for 3 hours, leaving me at home where the psycho Chris liked to come. I almost had a meltdown. So then, fast forward, I don't know how much time later. It was not very, like, long after that happened. So, after school one day, it was just me and my brother there, and pretty soon her girlfriend comes in to the house and she was like, you guys need to get away from the windows right now. She's like, Chris is outside and he's walking around with a gun. And so we freak out, and because one of the pantries was like inside, like it wasn't by anything. So I grabbed my brother, we went in the pantry, and then we hid in there for a little while until she said it was time to come out. I was calling my mom, letting her know that he was there, and then during this time was when her other boyfriend, I mean, not her other her boyfriend Chris, was flying in, and so he shows up some short time after that because she went outside. Not my mom, the girlfriend went outside, grabbed Chris and put him in her car and took off with him. Like she said, he was all drugged up and out of his mind, and so she was able to talk him into her car, and she took off with him and got away from us. Well, Mom didn't come home for hours. I don't know what happened. Tisha didn't come back. Um, all of them, we never seen the guy again. I have no idea what happened, but all of it stopped, and who knows? But at least it stopped. So, because it was getting really creepy, there's a lot of times I couldn't sleep at night because I'm like, what if he's in the attic right now? You know, it took a long time for me to be okay with going to bed because I was really, I was really freaked out. But I mean, we didn't have any problems after that. So, whatever happened, it was taken care of, I guess. Maybe he just, who knows. But one part I did leave out was um, sometime like in between those two instances, between the police being there and then him walking around the house or whatever, sometime in between there, right after we found out he was living in the attic, Mom and her girlfriend were staying up late, and it was a school night, and they were talking about we need to drive to Dallas and go buy a gun. Well, it was like, not during business hours, so clearly they were going to do this illegally. In Dallas, of all places. And I was like, man, that doesn't sound like the best idea ever. But at the time, I was like, okay, I can understand why you might want to, because right now you're kind of in panic mode. You're thinking about your safety, and the cops can't really do much. So, okay, maybe the gun is an answer. I don't know. Probably not from somebody in Dallas, though, at midnight. Probably not the best idea. So I'm like, okay, cool. You guys do what you need to do. I'm going to go to bed. And she's like, no, you and Caleb are going with us. And I was like, why would we go with you? Like, I mean, okay, I guess we could go. But she's like, well, I don't want you to stay here. And what if he comes back again? And I'm like, you didn't care about that the night that we found out he was even living in the attic. You let me stay there then. So what's the difference now? And I think what it was is because somebody was there and it would have made her look bad if she had left her kids there by themselves. But I'm like, couldn't you, like, you guys have been planning this all day long. You know it's a school night. You don't think that maybe you should have did this, I don't know, maybe like at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at a reasonable hour for everybody included? I mean, I guess thugs stay up all night. I don't know. I'm not one of them. But, like this could have been planned out way better, so maybe I can get back at a decent hour and go to school the next day. Because yes, I did worry about school because at least it got me the hell away from there. So whenever I went and got my brother and we went to downtown Dallas, we drove around forever. I think my mom got lost. And then eventually, like several hours later, she was like, never mind, we're just going home. So we turned around and we went back home gun free, and I was effing tired. So whenever we got back, I was like, okay, so it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's cool that I stay at home from school tomorrow, right? Because there's no way I can get up in just a few hours. And she's like, no, you still need to go to school. I was like, man, your priorities are right where they should be. Should be. They're right where they should be. Like, I totally appreciate this motherly worry that you have for me and my well-being. God, it was so confusing. Anyway, that's my story about the break-in. So, thank you for watching. If you did watch the whole thing, I truly appreciate it. And, yeah, comment if you have any questions or concerns. I don't care. All right, talk to you next time.